Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Craig Burrell, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Warrant Officer Class 1, Joanne Davey. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the hearts of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Lieutenant Harold Arthur Beams. Harold Beams was born on the 30th of May 1918 in Kalgoorlie, Western Australia, to Hurtle and Elizabeth Beams. His father was a filter press hand in the mines and he had a sister, May. Beams worked as a bookkeeper in Kalgoorlie and on the 13th of July 1940, aged 22, he enlisted in the 2nd Australian Imperial Force. For the rest of the year, he underwent training in Australia before embarking for overseas service on the 3rd of January 1941 with the 2nd 28th Battalion. Arriving in the Middle East a month later, Beams arrived with his unit in Suez and travelled to Palestine, which was being used as a training base for the Australians. In March, the 9th Division, of which the 2nd 28th Battalion was a part, was brought to Libya to garrison the area east of Tobruk. By April, it had withdrawn to Tobruk and spent 6 months defending the fortress there and patrolling the surrounds. In late September, the 2nd 28th was evacuated and later moved to Syria and then Lebanon for rest, training and garrison duties. During this time, Beams had been promoted through the ranks and after some months of training was made lieutenant on the 28th of June 1942. By July 1942, the war in North Africa had become critical for the British. The Germans and Italians had reached El Alamein in Egypt, about 70 miles from Alexandria, and so the 9th Division was rushed to the front. The 2nd 28th reached the Alamein front on the 10th of July and the division attacked a week later. On the evening of the 2nd of July, the attack was carried out toward the feature known as Ruin Ridge. Confusion surrounding the terrain and other aspects of the operation meant that the attackers failed to gain the objective, and at some point, Lieutenant Harold Beams was killed in action. He was 24 years old. The battalion suffered heavily at Ruin Ridge. 65 officers and men from the battalion and its support units were killed or wounded. Nearly 500 were captured and became prisoners of war. Of those who participated in the attack, only 92 men remained. Lieutenant Beams is buried at the El Alamein War Cemetery in Egypt under the inscription, "He answered the call, his duty nobly done." Known affectionately as Bill and Bulla, he was dearly missed by his family and friends, and dozens of them placed tribute notices in the newspapers for more than a decade after his death. One, inserted by his mate Claude Wedgwood, read, "So long, mate. I'll always remember you as one of the best." Another from his family said simply, "He did his best." Lieutenant Harold Beams' name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, amongst almost 40 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Lieutenant Harold Arthur Beams, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We'll remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and we wish you all a very good evening.